Well, I thought it was a good way for us to finish the week. Went 5-0 on the week and put an exclamation point on it today. So, for the most part, obviously, I think the offense was the main story today. But pitching again, how many earned runs? One earned run today for our pitchers. So, another really good day from them. So, just got to continue to build on it.
Mark, 42 runs in total this weekend. I know it's against Longwood, and you guys have been struggling to score lately, but how much does a weekend like this kind of really set the tone for SEC play coming up?
Well, it can make a difference. It can create confidence, and some guys made adjustments. That stuff doesn't happen by accident. Make no mistake, Longwood came in 7-5 on the year and had beaten some good teams. So that's a pretty good baseball team that we played. So I just think we played well. We were better this week than we have been. So it's just continuing to build on it.
Were the guys at the plate, were they trying to stay disciplined, or was it just taking what they were getting?
That's just what we do. I mean, that's kind of what we're known for now is this. Obviously, you don't normally get this number of walks, but our guys stayed within the strike zone, and their guys, they were struggling throwing strikes with some of the guys they brought in the game. So you combine our approach with some guys struggling to throw strikes, and that's what you get.
You mentioned the pitching staff. What'd you think of Ty in his first start?
I thought he was good. Again, I wish we would have made a few more plays behind him that led to some of the runs. He only gave up one earned run in 3 innings, so that's a very solid outing.
You mentioned adjustments. Is that kind of in reference to the hitting approach that you guys were talking about with the hitters meeting earlier this week, or was there anything different that you guys did coming into the weekend?
No, we talked about some things that we just needed to get back to the basics. We got back to the basics as a group, but we also, as coaches, we kind of put our heads together on some different things that individual hitters needed to tweak or correct. And between Monty and Joey, they got in the cages and worked hard with these guys, and I think we saw some results. Some guys were taking much better swings this weekend than they had been.
I know there's a lot of guys that had big weekends, but in your opinion, who do you feel like kind of really just stood out, making strides and having a nice weekend at the plate?
Well, it's a good question. A lot of guys. I think you got to start with Cole Messina. He had a really good weekend. Gavin Cassis swung the bat much better this weekend. I thought Parker Noland took a lot of good swings this weekend. Causey obviously had a big weekend. So I think a lot of guys really swung the bat well. Kennedy Jones took a lot of good at-bats for us. So I'd say, again, we saw more glimpses of the kind of lineup we think we can have this weekend, maybe as much as we had all year.
How do you evaluate kind of like runners left on base? Because obviously you guys are getting so many runners on base, you're not going to bring home all of them. Is that one of those things that you don't really fret too much over, or is it a concern at all ever?
Well, I mean, everything is a concern for a head coach, right? You worry about everything. But we get so many guys on base that generally our left on base numbers will be higher than a lot of teams that don't get on base as much. The key is I want to see that our production with runners on base mimics what we have with nobody on base. So in other words, whatever our average is with nobody on base, it should be pretty similar with runners on base, so that we know we're taking mature approaches. If we're pushing it, if we're pressing, and the batting average is lower with runners on base than it is with nobody on base, that's when you start to kind of dig into it and say, all right, what can we do to help? Okay, thank you.